Okay, hello, Miss Pradano. Good afternoon. Thank you for meeting with me today. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
I am good. Thank you
Glad.
for asking.
Glad to hear that. So, thank you so much for letting me come to your math class to observe and to see what you all are working on. I really do appreciate that. The goal of meeting today is to go over the lesson together and just talk through it and see how everything um, went. So first, I did want to ask you, what were your thoughts and feelings about the lesson? How did it go for you? What did you think about it?
Um, Honestly, I feel so great with how it went through. For me, I guess it really it was awesome because everything I planned was done, I guess. So that's how I feel. I was able to execute all my plans. So I feel good about my lesson.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that whenever teachers say that they feel good about their lessons,
Mhm.
that's
And
definitely
also, my students, as you notice, they have participated well in the discussion and all of the activities that I prepared for them. So I feel good about that.
awesome. That's always what we want our students participating well in the
Mhm.
activities that will help them understand what it is that you're teaching. So
Yeah.
that's great. Did you have any concerns, any questions or comments from the lesson?
Yeah, none so far.
Okay, none at this time.
Yeah. Mhm.
That sounds good. As we go through, if there's any questions, comments, anything that you want to clarify, or anything that you want to talk through further, please go ahead and mention it, and we'll address it. Is that okay?
Mhm. Yes, it is. Okay. Mhm.
Great. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to look at the walkthrough feedback form that I filled out on this lesson together. We'll go over it together, and then if there are any comments, we'll go ahead and go from there.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Um, so the walkthrough time, I came in toward the middle, the end of the middle, toward the end of on the end of the class. I know that you all had already covered some stuff before I came in, and that is perfectly okay. But I was able to see that. So that was the walkthrough time. The learning intention. Um, I didn't exactly see it in the lesson, but I believe that you had displayed it clearly because when you asked your students at the end of the class if they were sure that they had met their learning objective, they all said yes. And I believe that you displayed it again toward the end of the class. So would that be correct that you displayed your learning intention?
Mhm.
Okay, great. In terms of how your classroom was organized, I really like that you had your students working in their table groups. I like that you had the tables, the four tables facing each other, and that your students could all see each other, that they were working side by side. So for this one, I picked that you had individual students working alone, but that was at the very end during the exit ticket time. But for the most part, what I saw was your students in groups of threes and fours working together. And I really do appreciate that you had pretty balanced groups. We had some groups of three, some groups of four, but we didn't have any groups with two people in it. They were either three or four students. So I like that you had very balanced groups. In my notes and comments, I put that you had groups of 3 to 4 students working together and they were discussing the questions from most of the class. I really do like that they were discussing in those table groups. They were really talking through the questions and working on it as a group. And then I also like that after they had worked on it as a group, at the very end of class, you did have the exit tickets. And those exit tickets really show the understanding for each of your students individually. So do you agree with what I checked for the class organization section?
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Um, Actually, I think there's one thing that I did not check, and that's the student presentations, because you did have students.
Yeah, thank you for including that.
Yes, yes, I'm glad we caught that. You did have the students, one person from each group, come up to the board to present the work for that group, and that was really good as students were able to teach each other and show each other what they had learned. And also in that same piece, I really like that you had students show the work on the board. Sometimes when you ask students questions, they'll come up and say, "Oh, I got 27, I got 164," but we're not able to follow their thinking. So I really like that in your classroom, your students have the practice of showing all of their work step by step so that everyone could see it and compare it to um, what they're doing. So good job with that.
Mhm.
The next section, teacher's role and instructional practice. I really like that when students were working in their groups that you moved very quickly between the groups and you were able to attend to the work of every single group. You were able to speak with every table. I like that you were able to guide their thinking. There was a group, I think there were a group of 4 girls. Um, and in that group, one of the students wasn't sure about one of the questions, and you asked them another question. You said, "Do you have 2 points?" And
Mhm.
then the student said, "Yes." And then you prompted them and said, "Maybe between this part and this point and this point, those are 2 points." So you didn't exactly tell them the answer, but you prompted them to think about whether they had 2 points. And then you prompted them again to show them where those 2 points could be. So I like that you worked with all of your groups. Also, in the groups, there was a group of, I believe, 3 boys, and they were putting in the wrong equations in their calculator. And you said something really powerful, really important. You said, "Boys, what unit are we working on?" And that
Mhm.
prompted them to think back to the fact that they were not thinking about the right unit, they were not using the right equations, or they were not putting in the right things into their calculator. So they were able to come back and say the right unit, and they were actually able to say that to give the answer to what they should be using, that they were supposed to be using quadratic equation. So you did a very, very, very good job with that. The gradual release of instruction. When I came into your classroom, I didn't see the "I do" part and the "we do" part, but I believe that you had already gone over the material with them, that they understood it, that you had practiced it. And then in the "you do," the students were able to collaborate with each other for even more practice to ensure that they had learned it well. And then at the end of the class, the "you do," I appreciate that students were able to do independent practice with their exit tickets. So once again, well done with that. In terms of checking for understanding and randomization, I know that you called on a number of students when you were going over the lesson at the very end. You called on different students. So that was definitely um, a good thing. But I think that for to ensure in all of your lessons that all your students are being called on, that they're being engaged to participate, especially when you're doing something whole group with the class, how could you think that you can do that randomization better? What strategies or tips, what type of things could you do to make that happen in your classroom?
Okay, so actually, I tried to, you know, try a lot of apps for that. Maybe since I've been using Classroom Screen, maybe I'll try to use that one of these days because it would be more visual, maybe,
Mhm,
and then made it more colorful.
mhm.
But yeah, maybe next time I'll try to use a randomization app.
Okay, that does
That
sound good.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I will, cause or maybe yeah, the manual technique, like the using the popsicle sticks could have been better as well. But I'll try next time. Thank you for that. Because I'm thinking right now if I could use that, because I actually have a classroom screen, but
Okay.
Yeah, I just didn't well it happened, so I would use that next time. But that's a good thing to remember.
Okay, good. Popsicle sticks are awesome, but like you said, if you can actually open up the app and use an app, I think that's really
Yeah.
good. Students see it on the screen. And
Hmm.
can you hold on one moment, please?
Sure, sure.